a future where every Arizonan can realize the Arizona promise, the promise of opportunity, security, and freedom. The promise that through hard work and perseverance, you can build a good life for yourself and your family and leave your kids a better tomorrow. Today, with the signing of this budget, we are closer to realizing that Arizona promise. This budget was shaped by the experiences of Arizonans, moms struggling with the cost of childcare, veterans and families grappling with housing insecurity, law enforcement throughout our state who and on the streets. And thanks to transitional housing and mental health support, Daniel was able to get back on his feet and into stable housing. His experiences with homelessness is shared by far too many veterans, and that's why I'm proud that this budget includes funding to launch my Homes for Heroes initiative to end veteran homelessness by 2030. This budget supports public safety. I had the honor of meeting with the brave firefighters who helped battle the fast-moving Greer fire. Their stories are the epitome of heroism and selflessness. They deserve our respect and gratitude, and we need more of them, which is why I fought for and secured a 15% pay raise for our state firefighters. Now, not only will these men and women be able to better support their families, the state will be better equipped to retain and recruit these heroes. Recently in Sierra Vista, I met with Cochise County Sheriff Daniels, who has been a strong partner in our efforts to bolster public safety. He shared how increased collaboration and resources have helped his team take on the cartels at the border. Our state troopers are also on the front lines to keep our communities safe. I'm proud we secured a 5% pay raise for all state police and funding to continue and expand my Successful Safe initiative, which is combating drug trafficking and protecting communities across Arizona. This budget supports hardworking Arizonans and families. Arizonans can only achieve the Arizona promise if they have the chance to get ahead. We know that one of the biggest barriers to workforce is childcare, with far too many families either priced out or unable to get off of wait lists. People like Jessica, a single mother of 3, who told me she's forced to work a part-time job because she can only afford part-time childcare. This makes it nearly impossible for her to advance her career. After many conversations with business owners, both large and small, childcare operators across the state, and working parents, I'm proud we are able to secure the largest investment in childcare the state has made since the Great Recession. We will be able to help working families by slashing the wait list and giving more parents the chance to pursue their careers while their children get quality care. This budget supports students. The promise of opportunity isn't possible without the foundation of a quality education, and that starts with fully funding public schools that educate more than 90% of Arizona's children. And more than that, we delivered 10 million free school meals to working class kids. Regardless of if you want to pursue a 4-year degree, a 2-year degree, or technical certification, your path to continuing education should be one that you choose, not one chosen for you because the alternative is impulsive. And that's why we're making the largest investment in the Arizona Promise Scholarship Program to date and funding the first ever Arizona Community College Scholarship Program. Which will provide full scholarships to more working class Arizona students so they can pursue their dreams and find good paying, family sustaining jobs. This is what educational freedom looks like. This budget isn't the only thing getting us closer to the Arizona promise. Hard work and bipartisanship secured many policy wins that protected healthcare access for vulnerable Arizonans, strengthened Arizona's economic future, and provided a smart and responsible path forward for water security. Just yesterday, I signed legislation that grows our economy, lowers the cost of housing, and protects Arizona's water. The historic Ag to Urban legislation is a testament to what we can accomplish when we set politics aside and work together to deliver for the people of our state. And that's not the only bipartisan major win that we delivered this session. Protecting DDD funding was one of the most meaningful things I've done in my public service career. Families shared their stories of hope and resilience. Stories like 10-year-old Alexandra, who was diagnosed with Pitt-Hopkins syndrome, an ultra-rare development. Doctors and medical journals told Alexandra's family that she might never walk or talk. I wasn't going to let these critical services be ripped away from Alexandra or the tens of thousands of Arizonans who rely on them. After years of therapies and DDD support, Alexandra took her first steps this year. This budget fully funds the Division of Developmental Disabilities, making sure parents and caregivers can continue providing critical care to some of the most vulnerable Arizonans. We also took action to protect Arizona's unstoppable economic momentum. Together, we saved one of Arizona's most successful homegrown businesses, generating billions of dollars in economic impact, building more housing, and protecting and creating thousands of jobs. We also made sure the Diamondbacks stay in Arizona, a loss that would have been felt not only economically, but would have also hit Arizonans and visitors who love engaging in a favorite American pastime. And I'm so glad we are able to make that happen so families like yours and mine can continue to make memories at games every year. There is still more to do to achieve opportunity, security, and freedom for all Arizonans. This budget moves us in the right direction, but it's not the end of our efforts. Arizonans can trust that I will continue to fight for the things that will actually improve our lives and provide you with the opportunity to support your family, the security to sleep peacefully at night, and the freedom to choose the path that works best for you. Thank you so much. And with that, let's sign this budget.
Budget means less revenues, more expenses. What's your master plan for dealing with this? It's nice to say we've got a $17.6 billion budget, but it seems to be built on a house of cards with the feds.
Well, I've been clear from day one, this budget bill will be devastating for Arizona in so many regards, but primarily the hundreds of thousands of Arizonans that will lose their health care. We've advocated, a lot of folks in this room have advocated, and there's still more to do because the bill has to go back to the House, where I think it faces some hurdles to get across the finish line, and we are going to do everything we can to make clear the impacts it will have on the state. And hopefully our members of Congress will do the right thing and stop this from going into law, because it will devastate not just Arizona, it will devastate many states, and we don't have the capacity to mitigate these cuts.
So, but it goes to the question I want you to answer. If these go through,
We don't have the capacity to mitigate the cuts. We don't.
So who falls off the bottom? Medicaid recipients?
Everyone that we've been talking about since this bill was introduced will be impacted by this budget. It will impact hundreds of thousands of Medicaid recipients in the state. It will impact access to health care, not just for those Medicaid beneficiaries, but people who rely on health care in rural communities where hospitals and healthcare centers will have to close. It will affect nutrition assistance for hundreds of thousands of families across the state who rely on SNAP benefits to put food on their table. It will impact huge investments in making our energy grid more resilient and cut energy costs for Arizonans across the state. We are reliant on these federal funds. We don't have the capacity in our $17 billion budget to mitigate them, and I hope this bill doesn't become law.
Just to be clear, your message to Arizonans is a lot of people are going to be impacted by this, but there's nothing you can do about it.
Tell me what you want. Tell me what you want us to do. It's billions of dollars that we don't have, and even if we cut every single thing in the state, we don't have the money to backfill all of these cuts. That will be a Band-Aid on these cuts.
Moving on, Dennis, just to follow up on the big, beautiful bill. There's also
You guys are a buzzkill. We're celebrating a great budget. I mean, you look like you just came off the legislative floor, but.
there's a lot of money in that bill for immigration enforcement. More ICE raids that we've been seeing.
No. This budget does not fund ICE raids. There's no money going to ICE.
Beautiful bill.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What I want to know for you is, we're seeing that there's money in there for more detention facilities. You're going to work with this administration and help build and construct these facilities for migrants here in Arizona. I'm also going to get your take on these ICE raids we've been seeing with the videos with the ICE officers with their covered faces. Your thoughts on police enforcement out there, the secret police force we're like?
Look, I've made it really clear my position on working with the federal administration on border security, and we've shown what real cooperation can do and the results that it's produced. We're ramping up our efforts to combat drug smuggling and human smuggling, and we've shown real results. And we have found areas to work with the federal government on that, which has been really refreshing given the failures of the past. But I'm also really concerned about human rights abuses. I'm not supportive of indiscriminate rounding up of people who are merely following the law, and so I'm concerned about that. And I've been clear that, and I think law enforcement across the state is interested in protecting their communities from dangerous criminals, and that's what we want to focus on going after.
Right there.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Hi.
The question here, school vouchers, obviously, I think this is a difficult concession for you to make. How much is, I understand the budget fully funds vouchers, what is the price tag on that, and how difficult was it for you to, I assume, make a concession to this?
Look, we've made really reasonable reform. We've proposed very reasonable reforms. I think most Arizonans would support the level of accountability and transparency that was in those introduced or proposed reforms. And it's unfortunate that that we're still funding ESAs with no accountability. And I don't know the end at the cost at the end of the day, because we've had to issue supplemental appropriations for that program every single year.
Governor,
There was obviously broad bipartisan support for that bill. I haven't taken action on the remaining legislation on my desk, and so you will find out later this afternoon when we announce the bill action.
Oh, come on, Governor, we're up against deadlines.
We'll get it out to you, Howie, don't worry. Cameron, I think you have...
Governor, what's your overall concern about the situation at DOC? Of course, we saw additional deaths last week there.
So we're working very closely with the director to address the overall safety and security at all of our prison facilities, both for the inmates and the staff who work there, and we'll continue to do what we can to make improvements there.
Cameron?
Yeah, the Copper State Victory Campaign being run through the Navajo Committee, is that a vote of no confidence in the state party?
I'd rather not talk about politics in this government building, but that is our statewide campaign for 2026.
All right.
Governor, getting back to our budget here, we got a couple of days, really, before the deadline to get a new budget. What would you like to see happen differently next year in terms of these negotiations?
Well, 3 out of 4 caucuses and my office were actively engaged in negotiating a bipartisan budget that you saw get out with broad support for weeks before this deadline loomed. And one caucus decided to go rogue and nearly derail the whole package. So you'll have to ask them about that. But, you know, at the end of the day, we got it done. And Arizonans shouldn't have been facing this uncertainty and wonder what would happen. But I'm proud of the work we did to get this really good budget, bipartisan, balanced, fiscally responsible budget over the finish line.
Governor Hite, speaking of that fourth caucus that did not participate in the budget, you know, in a pre-session interview, you told me that you were optimistic about working with Speaker Montenegro. You said you have a pretty good working relationship from many years together in the legislature before. What went wrong there?
We reached out to every caucus. We worked across the aisle in both chambers for months to get to a budget. You'll have to ask him why he decided to not work with us on negotiating that final budget until the very last minute. But
Do you think your office should have done anything differently later in the process to get the House Republicans on board?
we did everything we could, and I know there have been numerous requests for public records of meeting schedules, and you will see that there was plenty of work to get them on board and to work with us and outreach about what their budget asks were so that we could get everything included in the package that we were putting through.
All right, Graham, do you have something?
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah.
Green's a great color on it.
Thank you.
We're doing a story on community colleges, and you mentioned the community college scholarships. Can you talk about that, other things that were done for community colleges in this budget, and why you think that is important?
So across the state, we're experiencing tremendous economic investment. That's happening by design because of the work we're doing to advance our workforce, to ensure that Arizonans have the opportunity for these good paying jobs. And that is being done in partnership with our universities, with our community colleges. They're such an important piece of the puzzle of training our workforce for the jobs that we're creating. And so it's important to ensure that they're funded so that students have these opportunities.
Anybody else? I'm not ignoring you, Cameron. Oh, back there. I just want to make sure everybody gets it.
I just wanted to ask about Prop 123. I know it didn't come to fruition this session. What are the takeaways from, I guess, this last go at it, and what is the plan for next session?
Well, you know, it was unfortunate that we saw some folks try to put forward a very partisan renewal plan, and I think that failed even in the chambers that have Republican majorities. And so I think that indicates there's appetite to work together for a bipartisan solution, and we'll be looking at our options and working on that over the summer.
Right there. I'll get to you, don't worry.
One more question. Governor, do you have a comment on the lawsuit that was filed yesterday about voters and, you know, seems to be voters who are dependents of military members who moved out of Arizona?
To be honest with you, I haven't seen that lawsuit, but we can get back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Governor, this is kind of like a little
was months, weeks, if not months, of negotiations back and forth between what would keep Democrats off of the bill, what would keep Republicans off the bill, and where we could find common ground to get to that. It's not always a pretty process, but it was a lot of conversation and working together and doing that in good faith, so that we knew that at the end of the day we would come to a deal that everyone could agree to, or the most people possible to get a budget through.
Yeah, we were here in January for a press conference about rural groundwater and that proposal.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen. Did you try to leverage ag to urban, and how do the rural folks, is there any hope for them going forward about that?
First of all, I have to say that ag to urban legislation is maybe the most significant water reform that we've seen in the state since the 1980 Groundwater Management Act. It's huge for moving us forward in our urban areas with regard to continued development, building the housing that we need, and continuing to grow the economy. And I think that is huge, and we should celebrate that. It was clear that there wasn't a path forward at the end of the day on rural groundwater. It doesn't mean we're giving up. We made progress, and we've clearly shown the support for this kind of legislation exists across the state, and that rural Arizonans want something done, and will continue to find a way to get that done.
Let me follow really quickly on that, Governor. You've been in politics for a long time, and sometimes if you've got them where you want them, and particularly the home builders, it's helpful. Getting back to the question, why didn't you use the leverage you had with the home builders who were so desperate on this one to go ahead and force the issue of rural groundwater and roll over Gale River?
It wasn't there. And we'll get there. I'm confident of that.
Governor, can I ask you about agency nominees? And I kind of have two questions,
Yeah.
if I could get them in. First, you said a couple of months ago that you were frustrated with Senator Hobbs
Yeah.
and the blockade there, and that you weren't going to send anyone through, but then you did, the FEMA nominee. Why did
Yeah.
you change course?
Well, first of all, the new tag, Brigadier General Conley, is he oversees our National Guard. He oversees also emergency management, and we need certainty in those agencies. And he's a strong pick that should be bipartisan and not face the kind of opposition that Jake Hoffman threw at other folks for no reason other than his partisan agenda. And I continue to be frustrated that he's holding our agencies and basic services for Arizonans hostage because of his partisan agenda. And it's quite honestly, it's going to be really hard to find directors who are willing to put themselves through that process and meet the whatever moving criteria he has seemed to set. With other directors, we're looking at our options that we have.
Well, is that the same thing as saying that Senator Hoffman is shaping who you pick for these agencies?
No, he is not shaping who we pick for these agencies. But find a qualified health director that's going to meet these insurmountable obstacles he's put in front of them.
But at the same time, there has been some progress. I think you've gotten almost everybody
Yep.
through.
Yes.
So I guess I'm just a little confused. Why send Brigadier General Conley but not others? I guess I don't really understand.
Well, the other agencies whose directors have not been confirmed yet, and a lot of them stepped away from those positions. We've named interim directors, but those were not. We haven't found permanent replacements yet. We're still looking.
Nobody wants the jobs?
What about following up on the Big Beautiful Bill again? I know you've said numerous times in the past, including today, that you don't have enough money to cover some of those cuts. But once that gets through Congress, will you consider calling lawmakers back to deal with any of the ramifications for it on this budget?
We're going to have to look at that when it happens. I mean, the bill keeps changing, the impact keeps changing, and I don't know that what came out of the Senate can get through the House. So we'll look at that when and or if it comes to that.
All right, I think we're gotta wrap it up quickly. Any last questions?
I have many questions, but have nothing to do with government.
All right.
Got a lot of questions for you too, Howie.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.